I ignored the $12 credit card alert, thinking it was nothing. My portfolio had been stabilizing for weeks. I couldn't afford to waste time on a single transaction. By the time I looked again, the screen glowed red. A $153,000 discrepancy had appeared in my investment dashboard. My chest tightened, fingers hovering over the mouse as my pulse spiked. I had built my hedge fund from scratch, managed portfolios worth tens of millions, and yet here I was, frozen in disbelief. Who would steal from an account monitored so closely? And worse, how did I miss the earliest warning? I rubbed my eyes and glanced at the city lights from my office in Canary Wharf. London's skyline blurred behind the rain-smeared glass, each drop reflecting a portfolio number I couldn't reconcile. My phone vibrated aggressively, another alert, unauthorized transaction detected. The message felt almost sarcastic, as if the system was mocking me. I knew every second mattered. Every fraction of a moment I hesitated, the risk compounded. Could I lose everything I had worked for in a single oversight? My gut screamed yes. The office was silent except for the faint hum of servers and the occasional ping of a late-night email. My credit card statement, which I had dismissed as trivial, now felt like a ticking bomb. I ran through the transactions manually, comparing every entry against my portfolio allocations, investment commitments, and insurance coverage. Nothing seemed amiss, until I noticed the anomaly, a leveraged position in a high-risk tech fund I had not authorized. My mind raced. I had ignored the alert not out of negligence, but confidence. I trusted my risk management software implicitly, assuming it would catch errors faster than I ever could. But confidence, I realized too late, is a double-edged sword. I tapped the keyboard lightly, opening the trading dashboard again. Numbers blinked like warning lights, my ROI projections were crumbling, the high-risk exposure far beyond what I had authorized, and the insurance policy that should have covered such losses had a clause I'd overlooked. I remembered the underwriter mentioning it in passing during our last review, a fine print about excluded leveraged transactions. I had shrugged it off. I can't lose this, I thought, jaw tightening as my heartbeat raced. Every decision, every ignored alert, was leading me here. The phone rang. It was Claire Montgomery, my senior investor. Her voice was calm but firm, the kind that conveys trust but carries hidden judgment. Ethan, we need to talk. The portfolio numbers aren't matching projections. I want a full audit first thing tomorrow. I swallowed hard, trying to maintain composure. I noticed the discrepancy. I'm investigating now. We'll get it fixed. Lies, I told myself. I don't even know what's happening yet. She ended the call, leaving only the echo of my own doubts. My chest tightened, a cold sweat forming as I realized, this wasn't just money. My reputation, the trust of investors, everything hinged on how I handled this next hour. I clicked into the investment platform's detailed ledger. Trades executed without my confirmation. Fraud. Internal mismanagement. Or had I made a silent mistake earlier, approving a minor low-risk transaction that compounded into this catastrophe? My fingers hovered over the freeze account button. Do I act too quickly, or wait for clarity? I knew the wrong move could trigger regulatory scrutiny, fraud flags, and investor panic. I leaned back, eyes scanning the dim office, the skyline of Canary Wharf reflecting the storm outside and the storm inside me. Every number tells a story. I just need to read it before it's too late. I remembered the $12 alert. It seemed trivial then, insignificant. Now it was the first thread in a tapestry of chaos I hadn't seen unraveling. My mind raced back to the meeting last week with my compliance officer, who had warned about a pending regulatory review, emphasizing portfolio misallocation and risk exposure in emerging tech sectors. I had nodded, confident that my hedge fund's algorithms would catch anomalies. But algorithms only work if fed complete, correct data. And I had ignored the simplest alert, trusting the system, trusting myself. "I can't believe I did this," I whispered to the empty office. A second alert pinged, suspicious transaction flagged by our credit card monitoring. $8,500 redirected to an unknown account. My stomach churned. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through account histories, looking for patterns. Could this be fraud, or another silent misstep? Every number seemed connected, a chain reaction triggered by what I had deemed minor. The rain outside seemed louder, each drop striking the window in time with my racing pulse. I leaned forward, tapping the glass desk. "Focus, Ethan. One mistake doesn't ruin everything." One mistake. I opened the insurance portal. The clause I had dismissed was now glaring. Leveraged investments outside approved sectors were excluded from coverage. One wrong move, and the insurance claim would fail. I felt the heat rise, pressing my palm against my forehead. Everything I thought was protected is now exposed. I tried to breathe deeply, forcing a sense of control I didn't feel. The portfolio numbers kept fluctuating, flashing green then red. ROI predictions I had trusted for months were crumbling with each tick. How could a $12 alert have led here? I asked myself silently, and for the first time, the reality hit me. It had led here because I had dismissed it. A message popped up from Julian Moreau, a venture capital partner in Paris. "Ethan, just reviewed the fund allocations. Something seems off. Call me ASAP." My hands shook as I dialed. Julian's voice was crisp, no room for emotional softness. "We're exposed. This isn't small. We need an immediate plan." I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. "I'm assessing now. I'll send a full breakdown in the next 30 minutes." Hanging up, I realized how little time I had. Every second counted. Every ignored microalert was now a glaring mistake. I ran simulations in my head, tracing every transaction, cross-checking with portfolio dashboards and insurance coverage. The tech fund's volatility was higher than I remembered, compounded by leverage. Every small anomaly, ignored emails, dismissed alerts, minor misallocation, had multiplied exponentially. I clenched the edge of the desk, knuckles white. "This is my fault," I admitted. The human cost of confidence, of dismissing a single alert, had created cascading financial disaster. How many silent decisions led here? Every minor choice echoed in the numbers flashing before me. Suddenly, an internal email popped up, audit flagged unusual transfer patterns. Immediate review required. My heart skipped a beat. I knew this day was coming, I thought, but I wasn't ready. The screen blinked again. Another transaction had gone through, $35,000 siphoned off, flagged too late. I ran through possible causes, internal fraud, system glitch, human error. I had no certainty. Only urgency. My chest tightened, sweat forming at my temples. I pressed my thumb against the desk, taking shallow breaths. Each exhale felt like a countdown. I remembered the board meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Investors expecting ROI targets. Regulators reviewing compliance. The weight of responsibility pressed down with a physical thud. My fingers hovered over the Notify Investors button. Should I alert them now, or wait until I had clarity? Every scenario carried risk. Transparency could cause panic. Silence could be worse. I felt trapped in a labyrinth of my own making. Confidence isn't competence. And ego isn't protection. The dashboard flashed red again. Another leveraged trade executed automatically, and my risk exposure spiked beyond the allowed threshold. My stomach lurched. I grabbed a notebook, scribbling numbers, tracing every line of code and trade. My mind raced, adrenaline and panic colliding. If I can't stop this, everything collapses. My phone vibrated again. Claire Montgomery texting, update me ASAP. Board call in 30 minutes. I swallowed, fingers trembling. I need answers. I need control. I need a miracle. I reached out to the fund manager overseeing the tech allocation. Julian, can you freeze the account? My voice was clipped, professional, masking the fear underneath. I can try, but the trades are algorithm-driven, he replied. I exhaled slowly, realizing algorithms can only do so much, they require oversight. I trusted machines over judgment. That was my first mistake. The rain outside hammered harder, sinking with the rising pulse in my veins. Every blink of the screen seemed personal, accusatory. My credit card alert had been trivial. My portfolio crash was not. Emails pinged relentlessly, investors checking allocations, insurance brokers clarifying clauses, regulatory warnings piling in. My office felt smaller, the city outside a distant blur. I realized the narrative of confidence, of control, had collapsed in front of me. I could trace every step back to that ignored $12 alert, a trivial decision that had escalated into a $153,000 disaster overnight. Every silent choice, dismissed signal, unexamined transaction had conspired to bring me here. My heart hammered as I leaned over the glowing dashboard, mind racing for a solution. Recovery is possible, but at what cost? I took a deep breath, rubbing my temples. The first small victory, I identified the source of the unauthorized trades, an overlooked API integration running beyond authorized limits. I sent Julian an urgent instruction to disable it. Fingers crossed, I watched the portfolio stabilize incrementally, numbers flicking from red to yellow, signaling partial containment. I allowed myself a single shallow breath. But I knew better than to relax. The audit was tomorrow, investors were watching, and regulatory eyes were on me. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. The echo of the $12 alert haunted me. Every microdecision in finance is a chain reaction. I had learned the hard way, even the smallest signals, ignored, could destroy millions, reputations, and careers. I leaned back, scanning the city skyline, rain streaking the glass like red alerts cascading down. My mind spun. Tomorrow, the board's decision could unravel everything. Or at least expose the full consequences of a single silent choice. I typed a final note to myself, every alert matters. Every decision counts, $153,000 lost. Could have been avoided. Never ignore a signal again. I pressed send, and the screen blinked, glowing ominously. The office was quiet again, but only in appearance. Inside, the storm raged. The first act of this financial thriller had concluded, but the next moves, the next decisions, would determine everything.